Go bigger than a hell rain, things like you heard on the decks. Glover hold the court, give the chief no suspect. Politics in the mix, like Gumbo Stewart Rich. Spinning tales from Black Wall Street, real life's the pitch. Donnie Glover Show, be more news. 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 Business tips hotter than lava. Got that Midas touch. Stocks and blocks teaching youngins how to clutch. Ears to the concrete, finger on the pulse. Dropping wisdom like Hova, each word a joke. Donnie Glover Show, be more news. 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 Walls painted black, history on lock. Blast off from Tulsa, rebirth like a clock. Markets rising from ashes to gains. Donnie the narrator, truth runs in veins. Donnie Glover Show, be more news. 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 Business tips hotter than lava. Got that Midas touch. Stocks and blocks teaching youngins how to clutch. Ears to the concrete, finger on the pulse. Dropping wisdom like Hova, each word a joke. Donnie Glover Show, be more news. 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 Walls painted black, history on lock. Blast off from Tulsa, rebirth like a clock. Markets rising from ashes to gains. Donnie the narrator, truth runs in veins. Donnie Glover Show, be more news. 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 Show, be more news. Be news.
I was glad when they said unto me, let us go on the air and get this Indigenous show popping. And it's all my pleasure. My name is Donnie Glover, and welcome to the show. This is what I got up for you first.
Civilization that was here. Now, to give you an idea when this civilization flourished 3,200 years ago, what was going on in the rest of the world at that time? Well, there was no Europe. There was only part of Greece. Troy was the big, powerful city at the time. There was no Rome. Egypt was a great power. There was a power going on in China. But more importantly for our discussion here, there was also a great power here in the Americas. We call it Olmec, the civilization, the first known civilization. It means rubber, and it refers to a great ball which these people used to make for a sacred ball game. It was a black civilization that was here. Now, to give you an idea when this civilization flourished.
So that's one piece I wanted to share with you. Here's another.
Grandfather was born in 1925 on Chickasaw Indian Nation territory. What does that make you?
A Chickasaw Indian.
Hey, so boys, if your great-great-grandfather was born in 1925 on Chickasaw Indian Nation territory, what does that make you?
A Chickasaw Indian.
I like that one. So listen, over the past 3 months now, we've talked a lot about the mounds and the mound pyramids. At minimum, at least from what I've counted, at minimum 450 across North America. And we can choose to believe that these mounds had some significance, or we could just choose to ignore it. We also talked about the Confederate flag. Another interesting piece of history that many of us did not know. I, for one, certainly did not know. Originally representative of the Iroquois nation. How did the Southern plantation owners come to revere this flag? We've talked about that on this show. And big ups to the many people who have joined in to bring us their expertise. Gunther Peck down at Duke University, Big Chief. But I got to tell you, a lot of this started with Mike Lane. Well, actually, it really started about 10, 12 years ago when I put up a video of Black Indians and got all kinds of responses. The most interesting of which came from melanated people. Why do you want to be anything but Black? Why do you want to be anything but African? And years later, I come to find out that I was not alone, that there were other people who had been searching their indigenous roots, their indigenous ancestry. Michelle Walker, Stephen Macy Bay, peace to you, Islam. And so here's the latest piece. You ever heard of the Bat Creek Stone? I'm going to share with you the story. It's, you go straight to Wikipedia, has at least the generic version. A lot of interesting facts in here, though. And what's always important is who's telling the story. Who's telling the story? Who's painting the narrative? What names keep coming up, like the Smithsonian, who says, no, that's not so. Who made these people the authority? That's all I want to know. Because, frankly, I don't trust them about anything. They lie, they steal. And grandma said, you lie, you steal, you cheat. You cheat, you ain't no damn good. Other people say you lie, you steal, you cheat, and you'll kill too. The Bat Creek Stone is an inscribed stone tablet, now considered to be a hoax. This is Wikipedia's version. I remind you, found by John W. Emmert, Valentine's Day, 1889. Emmert claimed to have found the tablet in Tipton Mound 3. Now, mind you, this is the late 1800s, late 19th century, and Emmert is digging around in Tipton Mound 3 during an excavation of Hopewell Mounds in Loudoun County, Tennessee. This excavation was part of a larger series of excavations that aimed to clarify the controversy regarding who is responsible for building the various mounds found in the eastern United States. In the late 19th century, when the tablet was found, Cyrus Thomas, the director of the mound excavations, I wonder if he was related to Walter Plecker, concluded the inscription presented letters from the Cherokee alphabet. This interpretation was accepted at the time, but was contested about a century later by Cyrus Gordon. So now all of these experts are coming out, a scholar of Near Eastern cultures and ancient languages who re-examined the tablets in the 1970s and proposed the inscription represented Paleo-Hebrew of the 1st or 2nd century. The consensus among archaeologists is that among white archaeologists, they're not Black. Somebody else's narrative. I'm just saying, the consensus among those archaeologists is the tablet is a hoax. kind of like Kincaid's Cave out there in the Grand Canyon. So it's a piece of history going back to the 1st century where other people are attempting to tell the story. Horace, how
Peace,
you doing?
my brother. I'm all right. How about yourself?
Doing good. Hannibal, what's up, soldier?
Ain't not much. What up, though? What up, though, Horace?
What up, Hannibal?
Not much.
So I'm going to share a little bit more with you since you gentlemen have chimed in. The physical description of this tablet is roughly 4.5 inches by 2 inches wide. The inscription consists of at least 8 distinct characters. When viewed with the straighter edge of the bottom, 7 characters are in a single row, with the 8th located below the main inscription. An unknown party added 2 nearly parallel vertical strikes with the stone while the stone was stored in the National Museum of Natural History from 1894 to 1970. This is evident by the lack of the markings in the first photograph of the stone. So people have somebody messed with it or something. North America has a diverse millennia-long history. Native American civilizations long predate the introduction of European settler colonialism. Part of this history remains embedded in the advanced architecture of the Adena and Hopewell people. And I'm glad you're here, Hannibal. This is up your alley. The Adena and Hopewell peoples, among others in Eastern and Midwestern North America, constructed significant earthworks and mounds. And we talk a lot about mounds, Hannibal,
Yes,
but we don't really mention earthworks. And I believe that's the broader term.
I believe so. So I think that's have to do more like up Horace's alley when it talks about the mounds and the earthworks. I think the earthworks got to be.
Well, I mentioned it because of the Hopewell people.
Okay.
You know anything about the Hopewell people?
I think that's something more up the Mound Builders Avenue, more of an ancient people they discuss. And when we saying ancient, I'm thinking it's more of a modern times, like before 800 AD.
Yeah, well, they say this stone here goes back to the 1st century.
Okay. Yeah, I see some letters in there. It's one letter in particular that catches my. I think it's that first one to the left or the second one. I think that's the Hebrew letter Tessah. And you got like some of the tribes with Tessalagi and stuff like that. TSA, that's the name, Tessah. You know what I'm saying? So that's the Hebrew symbol for that sound, and a few Native American tribes had that sound as in a couple of their words.
So for the word earthworks in archaeology, earthworks are artificial changes in land level, typically made from piles of artificially placed or sculptured rocks and soil. Earthworks can themselves be archaeological features, or they can show features beneath the surface. So it's along the lines of the mounds. I guess they were building off of what was already there, where the mounds themselves may have been had more human involvement.
Okay.
And Stephan, let me just say, we're learning together. I'm not teaching, I'm sharing. We all teaching each other. Lindell Jefferson, I'm not the expert. These guys are the expert, and others are the expert. DJ Sweetness is the expert. Greetings and gratitude. She keep changing her picture again. Okay. Okay, Sweetness. Osayo.
Hey, you know, Donnie. You know what? Well, I can't say that I'm amazed or cease to be amazed, but these numbers that they keep throwing at us is what amazes me. 100 BC, the 3rd century BCE, and all these fictitious dates that more than likely, don't have anything to do with anything, especially if they're using their carbon-14 or nitrogen-12 dating methods. But it's one thing that I can say is that no matter how much they dig, they always going to find us. So it's impossible for them to really date anything. These dates that they're giving us are all fake dates. You know, now they may have some that are on the surface level that could be, you know, primarily accurate, but you know, my point again, we're infinite, man. We've been here for billions of years. So when they find something, you know, if they find something, just say from 30 million years ago, they'll throw a data on it, you know, like the 3rd century BCE, when they can't even date the stuff, man, because we're infinite people.
I agree.
So you say they found this stone here in Tennessee?
I knew you were going to do that. I just had to put this up of my girl. You know, this is they're my man. Let me give you the details.
All right, peace.
Peace.
Hey, you know, I got a question, man. Where's mafioso at, man?
Haven't talked to him, bud. Reached out to him, no answer.
Okay.
And that's mound builds. They said the Back Creek stone, they tried to date it around 1st or 2nd century.
Yeah, with that old garbage calendar they got, man. You know, let them tell it, man, we in the year 2025.
This stone also counters the notion of a pre-Columbian trans-oceanic contact theories. See, there were those who were trying to say, for whatever reason, you know, I don't know what's wrong with those people, man. Like, okay, if we were the first people, isn't it obvious who was the first shipbuilders? I mean, they're not what you want. But at some point, doesn't common sense just like smack you upside the head? Like, of course they were the first shipbuilders. What's wrong with people, man? The history is so obvious.
I don't want to give credit where credit is due.
Right.
I was just reading the comments. Yeah, we talked about Albert Perry before.
Hey, Donnie, if have you ever heard of y'all ever heard of a movie called Year of the Dragon with Mickey Rourke? Remember that?
I think so.
Yeah, and they were they Mickey Rourke, and they were on a stakeout because they were New York City police officers, and they was across the street staking out, you know, someplace. I guess they was, you know, intending on raiding and whatnot. But you had an Asian guy that was one of the detectives, and you, of course, you know, you had, you know, majority of you know, European guys in there. So I guess the European guy just kept on, you know, annoying and menacing the Asian guy, and the Asian guy went in on him. He said, let me tell you something, man. While your ancestors were crawling around in the caves, searching for Poland, my ancestors was navigating, you know, the world, you know, on the seas and whatnot. I'm gonna try to find that clip, man. You probably can find it, Donnie, man. If and it's called the Year of the Dragon, and it came out in 1985. Yeah, but the Asian guy told him on the movie, man, and I saw that movie, man, back in the 80s, man, and I never knew what it meant, you know, back then. You know,
right? The time of us being civilized and the time of them being civilized is two different things. You get what I mean?
Two different eras. Yeah.
Well, I think that it's what we're going through is picking up scraps of history that happened here. You get what I mean? And it's like you say, it's kind of hard to put it in a chronological order or how the events happened here. You get what I mean? Because we've been here for so long, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I do think it's a good thing to research what's been found. You know, like Donnie was saying, a lot of people say it's fake, you know, or this didn't happen. But you can look at like, hold on, it's something like
when you look at how it's done, you can see patterns where essentially racism comes into play. There's certain things, you know, hold up. Is every damn thing is nothing about us in world history? Is nothing. I mean, because one, let's look at the whole Native American. If we were, it is a basic fact. If melanated people were indigenous to continents all over the world, then why not here? And what is so damn difficult for people to believe? Fact: 4 to 6% of the people transported in the transatlantic slave trade. 4 to 6%. 4 to 6. That's 388,000 out of 12.5 million. Don't take my word for it. Google it. How many Africans transported in the transatlantic slave trade came to North America? 4 to 6%. So are you telling me that we go from 388,000 to 44 million?
Well, they've always preserved everything to remind us of our demise, whether it's some chains or whether it's some what they call them, the huts that, you know, that they used to keep the prisoners of war in. So they always preserve stuff to remind us of our demise and our low level, you know, place in this society.
You know what? Honestly, man, I think a lot of times, Horace, white people are just as guilty as black people of not doing their damn homework.
Yeah, well, they don't have to do their homework because they got a government that tells them everything's okay.
If they want to be intelligent, they want to do their homework. I'm not going to put a blanket across any people.
Yeah, but they don't have to, man. I mean, you know, it was the government that was bombing black communities. It was a government that was bombing black communities, man.
If they're really students of history, yeah, I hear you. But for those that want to know the truth, they're going to find out the facts. And the facts is, so look, Brazil got 100 million black people. The majority of the people transported in the slave trade went to Brazil. The majority, and they got 100 million black people. 4 to 6% came here, and we got 44 million black people. Do you understand? They took many people to Brazil, and they got twice as many as we got here, but only 5% came here, yet we got half as many people as Brazil.
Those people in Brazil that have been there as well too. That whole transatlantic slave trade is a bunch of hogwash. Those people are native to Brazil, just like they're native to Puerto Rico and other parts of Hispaniola, all the way down to Chile and Argentina. The ones that weren't whitewashed out of existence, but they've been there, man. Their slave trade, for them bringing people here from Turtle Island, it wouldn't make sense economically, nor would it make sense physically possible to bring people on gas chambers where people are defecating, they're urinating, they got diseases, they're menstruating, you got corpses laying around. You know, it's impossible, man, for them to even do that stuff, man. And then, like I said, 35,000 slave ships and not one slave ship preserved out of 35,000.
Right.
Not one picture of them bringing people to any shores on this part of the world. They had cameras back then. They had cameras for everything else, but no cameras for that, I suppose.
Same with the Olmec heads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I seen that clip. Big Mama, baby.
Coming at you, Hannibal.
So this is like when you showed that Back Creek stone, we was talking about them making a comparison with the Hebrews. The Harvard had an Indian school back in like 1650, and that was one thing they believed back then as well. So that opinion of Hebrews being in this part of the land is an old ideology or old thought back to 1650s and prior.
Was there something in particular we should be highlighting on this page?
No, I was just showing. I just want people to see that that Harvard's Indian school. You know what I'm saying? This is actual from the Harvard's website talking about the school, the history of the school, and the history of the Native Americans there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you dig a little deeper, you'll see what was the requirements to be a graduate of Harvard. You had to speak Hebrew. That was one thing about Harvard in the beginning.
Where's that on this page?
Let me see if I can find it for you. Give me 1 second.
And see that will make me think that if that was a particular requirement, then that language probably didn't vibrate with us as a people then. Because, you know, anything, well, I mean, if they're teaching that to them, then, you know, it probably would suffice. But, you know, anything, man, that they bring forth, man, and then they try to place it out there for us as a people to take it, man, I think it's poisonous.
I agree too, Horace. So I think when researching the history of us, it's a lot of avenues we're gonna go down, and we have to not have an open mind, but understand what has been done with this information, and look at it from a different perspective. You know, not trying to gain upper hand on a person, but understand the reason why these people use this type of information to get the ups on us. Is what I'm trying to say. You know.
All right. So to answer your question, they did require this of their students, at least, and I'm just doing an initial search, folks. Because you know these cats get they get mean on here.
Yeah, everything in the beginning was a religious thing. Everything in the beginning, even them coming here, was a religious things from their point of view to
motivation
to even explore here. You get what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know, they was getting expelled out of Spain. You know, you had the Moors getting expelled. Mm-hmm. You had the Christians taking over, the Jews getting expelled up out of Spain, and that set in motion a lot of religious relocation. Put it that way.
All right, so let me give you the hardcore facts. Yes, Harvard's early curriculum, including for Native American students at the Indian College in the 17th century. This is the 1600s. Required intense classical language study, including Hebrew, but not just Hebrew, Greek, Latin, Aramaic, and Syriac, to prepare them to bring English, religion, and culture back to their communities, focused on biblical studies in original languages. Curriculum. Students at the Indian College, established in the 1640s, followed the same demanding curriculum as English students, which heavily featured Hebrew. The goal was to train Native American leaders to become English-speaking Christianized figures who could then spread that faith and culture to their people, requiring mastery of foundational languages for biblical texts. So they sliding it under the Christianity piece, but you ain't never heard of nobody teaching Hebrew to Christians, not in modern day.
Right.
So Christians can't even read. They can't even read Hebrew or Greek. 99% of the Christians can only read English anyway.
Like they was just on, I think the people that what he explained back in the 1640s, they was on a different wave pattern than where he is now. We coming up on 400 years in the next 14 years, be 400 years since that mark when they talking about at Harvard. You get what I mean? So we just not coming to the awareness that this is what's happening. So they that much ahead. You get what I mean? So I think that we need to get the knowledge, then make the opinion afterwards after we get the knowledge. You get what I mean? Or to find some type of solution, because we got to see what happened. And now we find out it wasn't just people getting on ships, or that story of somebody getting on ships and coming over here is not the actual story or the whole truth, entire truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, one of the things is that you have, you know, a lot of us can trace our genealogy to what is commonly known as the South, yeah, or the Southern states, right? And not exclusively, but a lot of us can, right? And the Southern states embraced pretty severely the you know, they legalized it, that it was illegal to teach reading and writing, right, to captive people, right? Now think about that for a second. Why right, why would somebody, right, say that another race of people could not have the right to read and write? So obviously there's some trickery, deep trickeration within the educational system. So for the listeners, that's why we have to inquire in this fashion, um, because there's something really off with that, right? Because if it was a physical threat, certainly reading and writing would not pose a problem, right? So there must be, this is more of a psychological thing related to, I believe, related to obfuscating the truth. So that's why we constantly, you know what I mean? Because, you know, people want to know why we are off into this on this particular channel, is because of the great confusion that was laid on the people, psychologically, as well as physically, as well as stealing land. All of those things was coming from this particular implanted culture.
Right. Right.
You know, because in other words, it can seem redundant, but the reality is that's what happened, and it's documented that that's what happened. So what we're doing is it's a huge yarn, and we are trying to untangle it so we can get to the truth, and because we're seeking the truth. I mean, that's what we do. I think that's should be a human desire. It's just to know the truth.
Hey, you know, to piggyback off what you're saying, Wells, something popped in my head uh,
Mm-hmm.
that I consider a possibility. They understood by us being over here on Tamari that our words were power.
Mm-hmm.
So just like the language that the Honorable Malachi York created, Nuwapic, once you master that language, you can tell what anybody from any other language system is speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's like a man by the name of C. Kirkman Bey, who was Prophet Noble Drew Ali's right-hand man. They said that he spoke 99 languages. So now there is a possibility that they didn't want us to be able to read because they know that we could find the semantic roots of those words and use them as magical words of power against the oppressors.
That
Because
could certainly.
what you see what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
just saying that because you was like, how could it possibly be a threat for someone to learn how to read? Well, we know that, you know, the word was God and the word is power. So they may have feared those sisters and brothers learning that language and then using that language against them as words of power, or what they call heka.
Certainly. 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 which goes all the way back to the modern foundations of Christianity in the Council of Nicaea and what they thought, right? And then the twist is the myth of Ham, right? So this was a whole convoluted program, because once again, the Moors had Spain for 800 years, right? And the relationship of that situation to the Catholic Church and the Pope, that's a deep lick. And I'm assuming, I think a bit accurately, that created such resentment that they never wanted to be in that situation again.
Yeah, I've been said that a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said something provocative. You mentioned Ham. Did you guys know that Christians say that Noah had 3 sons, and the
Ham, Shem, and
Muslims,
Japheth.
and the Muslims say Noah had 4 sons, and the one that the Yam, Y-A-M, is Yam, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And Yam in the Islam tradition was the one that got thrown off the ship with Noah's wife. Now that's the curse. You get what I mean? So that's the confusion. You get what I mean? It's when you start delving into these religious ideology, you'll start seeing inadequacies or in things that don't sync up correctly. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
You got 3 Abrahamic religions that's saying 3 different things. You get what I mean? So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront. Our viewers can look it up. The Muslims say it was 4 sons, and the one that's missing in Christianity is named Yam, Y-A-M. And look up what they say that one did. So I just had to throw that in. You mentioned Yam, just came from my mind. So I seen this one before. Say if native treaties were honored. I think it was all that treaty stuff got to do with the Iroquois. It's all traitors. You get what I mean? How can you make a treaty with someone that's
correct
and that's coming in
correct? Correct.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, you become their treat. That's what the treaty
That's
is
what
about.
it is. In order to make a treaty, somebody got to be submitting, right? And the ones the ones whose land it was quote unquote submitted. You get what I mean?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, if there were a mixture or a percentage of the people on the land that already had that traitor attribute in them, then that made it easy for invaders to come in and shake hands with them as if they, were friends, but then all along was stabbing the righteous people in the back. And I think that that's a possibility because a lot of times when we consider the enemies, we don't ever speak on the enemies that were already here within the ranks.
Right. And you know what? I'm glad you said that, Horace. I was just talking about that with one of my cousins. And I said, so we alleviate all the outside oppression or all the outside influence of everybody that ever did anything to us. It's still going to be that internal that we got to watch out for. You know what I mean? That's going to destroy within. We ain't going to be able to see it because it's going to look like us. And like it always looked like us. So what do we do? You get what I mean? Do we make do we got to be some type of rules and regulations amongst ourselves? Do we make treaties and laws or constitutions amongst ourselves to act according in certain ways? Because we don't got that amongst ourselves anymore. You get what I mean? It used to be a common thing.
We don't have it as much.
Right.
Because we do have it as represented on this show, correct?
Oh yeah, you're correct on that. Because we respect one another. We sit back and we try to come up with ways to progress our people. But the thing is admitting that it's within. Admitting because once you take self accountability, then we can move on.
Yeah, that's a collective thing, though. See,
Yeah.
for people in the light, it's no problem taking taking responsibility for our actions. But just because people are grown don't mean that they take accountability. I mean, we see it all the time. Cats standing on the corner talking about he owed child support. You know, he got this bill, he got this problem. But all day, every day, 12, 13 hours on the corner for a bag of weed.
Right.
Slavery is slavery.
Yeah.
I got
Well,
something.
I can't say that.
Huh?
No, I was just can't. I can say that they worked the number on our people, man.
Well, the other thing
They
is
worked the number on us.
in terms of Europe, you know, all of the people in Europe, you know, it's a misconception that all the people in Europe were of a lighter complexion or what's commonly known as white. So what you had is
or bad people for that matter.
yeah, you had a lot of people navigating and supporting the colonialist regime based on profit, and they look just like us or very similar to us.
Yeah,
So
from
there's
what
a
I
lot of
understand,
weaving. There's a lot of weaving, right? That's going on. You know, that we a lot of times we attribute a lot to, you know, the European section without realizing that some of the European section was us. So it's a
Well,
deep, it's a
they look
real
like
deep
us.
twist.
Yeah, they look like us, but they wasn't us.
No, I got that. I got that.
Yeah,
But
I got what you're
you
saying.
feel me? Yeah.
Also, you know what you were saying, because you know this racial division that has been the root of, you know, the people clashing with each other's. Like Martin Luther King said, you know, it's about the content of a person's character, not the color of their
Yeah.
skin.
Yeah. One thing that blew my mind when I was in Africa, right, it was that you you check this out, Donnie. You see somebody, right? And you know, they dog skinned and you say, hey brother, you know, that kind of thing, right? That what I'm noticing is that's kind of a very American
It is
thing.
because
They
we
looking at
such
they were looking at me like I was like, what?
Hey, but see that's and if you think of, like I said, there's always something that has a counterpart that shows us in our face what it was, and that's how they came over it, because we were such a loving people. Even
Right,
though
exactly.
even though these people that look like us from these other parts of the world, they looking at us like these is niggas. We're not them. We're not black, but we looking at it. Hey, y'all got the same skin complexion, so we family.
Right,
And
exactly.
we still carry that trait to this very day, man. You know,
True.
we
Carry
still
what
carry
trait?
that trait right now. Yeah.
Like,
Carry what
is,
trait?
is that gullibility?
Yeah, the
Well, it's also
accountability, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
the
the
accountability, man.
an
Thinking
idea
that
of
What
brothership.
gullibility?
they're thinking that
To-
because we got the same skin complexion, that they're our brothers.
All skin folk ain't kinfolk.
I see you got Messy Jesse Jackson up here, man.
You say messy Jesse?
Messy Jesse.
All right,
Chicago's finest.
let's hear the clip.
The land that is owed to the Black Americans is held in public trust. Until they go and claim their land patents, they'll continue to pay taxes and get evicted and work for us. The fake ones that came down after the wars will continue to be able to claim their heritage.
Hey, on that note, shout out to Secrete Balance, because that's exactly what she's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, I'm glad you said that, Horace. Who is the sister? For those of us who do not know.
Well, Secrete Balance is a sister that Mafia Shakur had introduced, you know, to the panel about a month or so ago, and she's known across you know, the conscious community, you know, but she's a very powerful sister, man, and her mind is brilliant. And exactly what this person just said in this particular clip is exactly what she's been saying all along.
Well, for years I've shared that I did not agree with Harvard professor Henry Louis Gates, Skip Gates, where he said that 2 to 3% of Black people had indigenous roots. I question it because that's suggesting that he polled a large number of Black people to come to that conclusion. Of the Black people, of the melanated people that we have interviewed throughout the course of this show, I find that a lot more people have indigenous roots than Skip Gates would have us believe. Alex Haley, a known plagiarist, was a part of selling us the whole roots story based here in my home state of Maryland. Even today, down in Annapolis, where there is a port like here in Baltimore, in Annapolis, they have a festival every year, the Kunta Kinte Festival. Ain't that a beat? The Kunta Kinte Festival, but it later came out that Alex Haley was a plagiarist. He stole a story. It's not his story.
It's called, the book is called The African, that he plagiarized by Harry Corlander, word for word. A white man.
Damn, that's like them sisters, them two white boys did, the sister who wrote The Matrix and the Terminator.
You stole a story?
Yeah.
It's called The African.
All I'm going to say about Jesse is Rainbow Push. Is it about anybody other than the Jesse Jackson family?
Well, they stole that from Fred Hampton.
I mean, Rainbow Push, does anybody other than a Jesse Jackson descendant get to run it? I asked the same thing about the National Urban League. Is Mark Morial the only one who can bounce the ball? The NAACP, 64-member board. Can anybody get on that board, or you got to be in Jack and Jill's or, you know, some elite boule or...
That's a white organization too. That started by white folks and NAACP. The Negro National Anthem was written by a white person. Come on.
Well, when we look at the impact of film and television, right? Because you have to understand that that's kind of recent on the set. But when you go back and you look at the imagery and this and that, it goes deep. So a lot of these older people, they grew up on that in those images. Now you want to know how powerful film is. When they premiered the early films in Europe and the United States, they had one particular film where they had a film of a train. And the train was in, people watching the film and the train is coming. The people ran out of the theater. They ran out of the theater because they thought the train was real and it was coming to them. That's how powerful film was. The early film on the psyche. Yeah.
So this film here is the first feature film in the United States made by D.W. Griffith.
Absolute.
The Birth of a Nation. This is the film that I've often talked about that portrayed Black people with big lips, eating watermelon, scared of our own shadow, that type of thing. And then that's from a truly inferior people. That's from a people who knew that we were at a weak moment in time and did everything possible to attempt to portray us as savage. But when they do that, then we have to remember who these savages really are. And so often we forget the savage that we live around. I got
that movie. What year did that movie come out, Donnie?
I want to say 1917.
Something like that. Yeah.
Woodrow Wilson was the president.
And it was the first major blockbuster.
My grandfather.
If not the first blockbuster in film in the United States.
Well, I know that other
Only way they
American
keep getting
nations-
us is because they're better organized.
Well,
America
we
would not
only
have a film industry if it weren't for black people.
yeah, well, we only
Absolutely.
disorganized because every time we've organized, they came and they demolished our organization.
That's right.
That's why I'm saying there's a deep psychological thing that's going on the mental illness tip that has to be looked at. You know, has to be
So the
looked at.
question is, is that when do the people come out of the hole?
After we get tired of this shit right here. See, these same people who made that picture of us as jigaboos, these same people that want to call us savages, that want to portray us as monkeys, this is what their idea of Christianity is. So that's not a Christian. That's an animal.
Well, no, they're Christians.
Well,
No, that's an animal. They're not a Christian. Stop
Well,
playing with yourself. Stop
No,
masturbating. You're not a Christian. You are a damn savage animal.
What I'm saying in their origin, Christianity was created by savage animals. That's not something that we partook in on the level of the level of religious ideologies of a God.
And it's a coward move. And it's a coward move, because my understanding is when a warrior fights another warrior and kills him, you respect the dead.
Honor.
Yeah.
You show some honor.
Have you ever heard of the story of the guy, the people going to war? So they were going to war for a cause. So in the battlefield, one of the warriors met someone he was about to slay, and so that person spat in his face. And instead of him slaying him, he left the battlefield and went and prayed and came back the next day to fight the same person. And so the guy asked him, well, man, why didn't you slaughter me yesterday when I spat in your face? Because it became personal. It wasn't about you spitting in my face. So, you know, the moral compass of these people is unsurmountable to the levels and atrocities that they have done for the past who knows how many centuries. And here we are in 2025 still trying to unravel this yarn. But we got too many infiltrators in the ranks, man. And then we got too many of them that know this, and they utilize, you know, their positions, you know, to keep doing what they're doing over and over. So, you know, I'm not saying we're fighting a losing battle, but I mean, where's the reciprocity for this type of behavior? Or Sonya Massey?
Is that a man on the floor on the ground there?
Yeah, that's one dead.
Damn.
Yeah, they standing around cheesing and can on. And so these are your judges, your lawyers, your FBI agents, your police officers.
Cowards.
No, a lot of times,
bankers.
a lot of
Cowards.
a lot of times when you see these historical photos, you know, there'd be children there, and they, you know, getting cotton candy, and you know, it was a real social event.
Like going to a ball game.
Yeah.
I told you it was called a picnic when they went to pick slaves. That's why we should never really use the word. It was called pick a nigga.
Well, I you know, with this picture, I want to resurrect the Red Sticks. You know, I want to resurrect the Comanches.
Yeah.
You know, I want to resurrect the Navajos.
The Chickasaws, the Choctaws,
the Choctaws. I want to resurrect the Miamis.
Yeah.
See, because these brothers, they wasn't playing no games with them. You know, them cats were scared to come out the forts, and they had guns. But they wait till they weaken us up, and then they display us before the world like this. And here in 2025, 2026, our warriors are wearing dresses.
Wow. Seminoles.
Powerful picture there.
We know who we are. We know when other people trying to steal our joy, steal our history. Big ups to Red Tail.
Lenny Lopez.
It's in Muskoko Ligi.
Bona Sakapona.
Mona Sakapona.
Sakapona.
Our people are beautiful. There would be no film industry if it weren't for us. Look at us, man. 15% of the population. Look what that boy did with that Black Panther movie. Look what he did.
Mm-hmm.
We 15% of the population. There is no film industry without black people. There's no music industry worldwide without the creativity of melanated people. There is none.
But just, we got to be more definitive of people here. You know what I mean? You got melanated people across the world. Our people here created that. We're responsible for the culture that the world is leeching off of.
But that's only because we're integrated into a burning house.
Right.
When we segregate.
Dr. King said that. Dr. King said that. He said the Negroes are what do you say, are held captive in their own lands, something like that. And they said stuff about leading us into a burning house. You know what I mean?
Hey, boy, I used to have a crush on Sally Richardson, man. You have brought back memories, man.
Back on Sally Richardson, what was that?
That's up right there, man.
Oh, man.
I just got a inbox. Harsh, there's a meeting called and you will be required to speak after this meeting. Signed, DJ Sweetness.
What up, DJ Sweetness?
Don't you come on here talking about nobody.
Cheeto powder.
Oh yeah, I forgot DJ Sweetness was on here. I got to take that back.
You better you got that right.
That's right. Get him, DJ Sweetness.
That's
right.
Hey,
Donnie, like Michael Jackson, want to be sliding something.
Right.
That's right.
Be off the wall.
That's right.
Can you imagine if, man, look at how people are waiting. And listen, I've talked with some media people I know around the country, and there is a reawakening. People who are not even into indigenous culture are talking about indigenous culture. People are awakening, reawakening all over the country. Not just this show, not anybody. It's happening all over. There's a reawakening, and I'm so glad we're here to observe it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're not letting other people tell us anything any longer. It's not happening. The people are waking up, and we are a part of it, planet.
Well,
Northeastern tribes, ain't it? I'm looking at their regalia. That's like more like Northeastern.
Man, I snatch pictures from all over. And that's why I'm so grateful for this show, to be around people who are okay with us looking at our history. They say, Donnie, why you want to be anything but like I don't like who I am. I love who I am. I don't know about you. I love who I am. And the more I learn, I tell you a story. I saw this today. This reporter, this melanated man reporter for CNN. He went and visited the museum, the new museum down in South Carolina. And they did his ancestry back 400 years. And he learned, you got to see it, it's on YouTube. He learned of 7 generational great-grandma. If you say great 7 times, that's how far back. 400 years, and 2 of the women, like a mother and a daughter in his lineage, sued for them to be free. If the mother was free, the child was free. So 2 of the women in his lineage used that law to sue for their freedom. But if I'm not mistaken, it also said that they came here free. So people, don't believe anything anybody told you unless you go and do your research for yourself. Don't believe nothing. Don't believe nothing you assumed. You assumed it. You didn't go and do the damn homework. You just took what they gave you, like many of us.
What they say when you assume, Donnie.
Huh?
What they say when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
Starts with an ass and it ends with you and me.
Yeah. You know, that's like Mike Jackson up there. His ancestor was an Indian named Jack.
And they kept saying the dude had Indian. That was the thing. That's why we got to get the people from the South Carolina Museum on. They your people, Hannibal. All of them, all of that Southeast tribe. I hear the names and I don't know it like you know it, but I know the story. And they were talking your language, your people, South Carolina, and they told him that he had Native American roots.
Yeah.
But the story, they didn't dig deep into that. They stayed stuck on the slavery piece. And for me, I wanted the person from the South Carolina Museum to talk about them indigenous roots, to change the storyline. We were already here. Damn.
Yeah, South Carolina.
Listen, they were right at the table, and I'm thinking they get ready. They're eating the potatoes, they're eating the broccoli. I just know they're going to eat that steak, but they wouldn't touch it. The native indigenous ancestry, the indigeneity, they would not touch it. They like skirted around it. What the hell are we scared of? We're searching the truth. Damn. We so want to hold on to something, and I get it. I felt a similar way about some things. Like when Mike Lane came on here and talked about Marcus Garvey, that's where the fight broke out. Because my question for those people that's so deep into this indigenous thing that we can't lift our heads up and see the big picture, what did you do that Marcus Garvey, I mean, what did you do that's comparable to what Marcus Garvey did? Because the last I checked, he organized more melanated people than anybody in the world. Here, cat can't even organize 100 people. This man organized millions. So show some respect.
And
can I?
My bad, Jorge. That's the spirit nowadays. People discredit people's accomplishments. Don't give them credit for what they did. You know what I'm saying? You can be X'd out right now. Your whole legacy can be X'd out in today's world. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
so
I want to say something. I want to say something right quick, and I want to read this. Well, first thing is that we have to pay attention to those brothers or sisters' intentions. What were their intentions when they did what they did? That's the first thing. The second thing is that for all other viewers and people who got something to say about those people who had good intentions that may have made a mistake along the way, I'm pretty sure that your pencil has an eraser on it as well. You know, but what Donnie was saying about the us waking up. It says after the completion of the program, historically known as Israel, the consciousness of light, which contends with a higher mind until victory, there will be a consciousness reprogramming of man on this planet in the region originally identified with Atlantis. The 12 consciousness dimensions of spiritual man will receive their central reprogramming in the original land of the Ancient of Days. This is the sacred land of the West, which is the region of the original grids used by the masters. So, hey, I didn't write it. I'm just reading it, so don't shoot the messenger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's true, too. I'm looking at this picture, that 1790s. A lot of things that's happening around that time. And I know you, Horace, you say about the time period. And I keep on looking.
I respect that if they took that in 17, but I'm saying that when they start finding all of these archaeological findings and they put dates on them,
sure.
You know, and so they'll never say, "Oh man, we found something, man, that's 50 million years old. It has to be within the radius of 1 BC or 2 BC. Man, we're way older than 1 BC or 2 BC, man.
Right. Right.
That's all I'm saying, man.
And Donnie said something real powerful too. Like every landmass on the planet is known to have people of color as the indigenous people, but when it comes to this land, somehow it's not connected. But when you look at all the islands, you can Google the indigenous Caribs or the indigenous people from Dominica and places like that, because I got connections there. They all us, look just like us today. You get what I mean? Right. So, we're not speaking hyperboles. We're not speaking falsehoods. Jack sometimes just meant Jack's sons, right? That was the story about. I heard Michael Jackson's father. He had an interview and he was talking about his ancestor, and he was saying that his name was Jack and he had a son, and they named the son Jack's son. And that's how the name came about.
Yeah, well, it becomes frustrating, man. But I guess when we waking up out of the spell. Shout out to the Honorable Bobby Hemmett. He said that we have been around for so long that we only taking a nap right now. And our ancestors were intelligent enough to predict the nap that we would go into, and we had to somehow relay this degree of knowledge to our enemy in order to regain it from him once we start awakening from our leisurely naps.
That's deep right there, how you said that, Horace. And that's the facts. It was like, you teach them and they regurgitate what you taught them, you get what I mean? And now we picking it up and we realizing, damn, this is the knowledge that our people done taught, and now we gonna get the power of those of us who can receive it will get the power. You get what I mean? To do something with this, And you said, when will this change? I think it's going to change if we start with these little babies that's here. It could change in a generation. It can, when these little babies now turn like 20, 25, they can have a whole different perspective if we work now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Work on ourselves.
Back in 1995, I came up with the philosophy, hypotheses, or whatever you want to call it, that the palm color people, who we call white people, were physical manifestations of our lower selves that were put here to teach us how not to be.
That's kind of like the story, like kind of reflective of that story of Yakub, right? He's engineering this beast or whatever, and putting them on an island, secluding them. Like you said, this could be like the lower self, And I get what you mean.
Yeah, it's teaching us. So when we do rise back to our position of inheritance and prestige, that we know how not to be as a people.
Is that like working on not working in the lower chakras? You know how they say you got the chakras, the bottom up to here, and just working with here.
Well, we got to use all the chakras, for there to be a complete balance, because we know that the root chakra is where creation begins at. But Ketha, which is the crown chakra, is sort of like when you dealing with the tree of life or going to Mount Kuth all the way back up to Ketha or Ein Sof Ein, which is nothingness, where we just exist in, which I think that the majority of our ancestors were doing. And that's how we display it today, thinking that everybody is black, is our brother, when they're not. But we such a loving people that man, and it's important, man, for us to to learn these things, man. But yeah, I think that eventually, man, we'll figure it out, man. At some point, it just gets frustrating. We have to keep telling the same people over and over that, man, we from here, and just accept that, man.
Right. I think, like Donnie said, it's more and more, because I know today when I was, doing my research and surfing and watching videos, I'm seeing more and more people that's talking about this here.
Can't put the fire out.
Can't put the fire out. But let these more and more people find your tribe, find your legacy. You get what I mean?
So the
Find
name
your
of this
people.
show is Back Creek Stone, and the least I can do is share a little clip with you about Back Creek Stone.
The discovery wasn't glamorous. No golden mask, no towering monument, just a flat, dark stone pulled from the soil of a burial mound in Tennessee. It might have gone unnoticed forever, a relic buried with copper bracelets and bone. But decades later, it began to speak in a language no one expected, and the controversy hasn't stopped since. At first, the markings were interpreted as Cherokee. It made sense. The mound belonged to the Hopewell tradition, and the Cherokee were known to inhabit the region. The stone was catalogued and largely forgotten, a footnote in early American archaeology. But nearly a century later, in 1970, a Semitic languages scholar named Cyrus Gordon noticed something strange. The characters didn't match the Cherokee syllabary at all. Instead, they bore a striking resemblance to Paleo-Hebrew, an early form of Hebrew used around 2,000 years ago. The inscription, when reversed, appeared to read, "For the Jews." That single reinterpretation shattered the stone's obscurity and thrust it into a global debate. Could Semitic people have crossed the Atlantic in ancient times?
Yes.
Was this stone proof of pre-Columbian contact
Quite
between the Old World and the Americas? Proponents argued that the burial context, deep within a sealed mound, meant the artifact had to be authentic. If it had been planted, how could it have ended up buried beneath copper items and human remains? The implications were enormous. If genuine, the Bat Creek stone would force a rewrite of early American history, suggesting contact between Middle Eastern cultures and Native Americans centuries before Columbus. But critics weren't convinced. In the 1990s, researchers noticed that the stone's inscription closely resembled a Paleo-Hebrew alphabet, printed in an 1870s reference book, published before the excavation. The match was too precise. It seemed likely that whoever carved the Bat Creek stone had copied it from that exact chart. Worse, questions began to surface about the Smithsonian's own methods at the time. Cyrus Thomas wasn't an archaeologist by modern standards. Excavation techniques were crude, and documentation was often minimal. Could Thomas, or someone close to him, have planted the stone, or simply misunderstood what he found? The Smithsonian quietly shifted its stance, eventually listing the Bat Creek stone as a likely forgery. Mainstream scholars now regard it as a 19th century hoax, either deliberate or accidental. Still, the mystery endures. The stone resides in a museum housed in glass, watched by eyes that see different things. To some, it is evidence of forgotten voyages and hidden truths. To others, it is a cautionary tale, a reminder that even in science, we sometimes see what we want to believe.
Lies, lies. They all lies. Don't believe a damn thing they tell you. That's what we're talking about, the Bat Creek stone.
As he said one thing that kind of is misinformation, that was Cherokee territory. Cherokee, that was more of Muskogee territory. You know what I mean? So because the Cherokee come from up north, that's an Iroquois tribe. You know what I mean? So it's impossible for them to inhabit Tennessee at that ancient time, at that first century. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I get it, I get them comparing it to the people that was there, but when we dig a little deeper, you'll see they wasn't there. But you see, this type of findings is found across the country, similar findings. I don't know too much about this situation here. I done heard of it, the Bat Creek stone. You know what I'm saying? I done heard of them saying it's a forgery, but every time the Smithsonian come in, they always surmise it as being something fake or a forgery.
And who the hell are they? Because
exactly.
if they related to Trump, I know damn well what we gonna get.
Right. They say the Smithsonian got tons and tons of historic artifacts and relics.
Just like the Vatican.
And they got black people that work there who won't expose it.
Well, they won't be working there if they say anything.
Oops, I said too much. Okay. A sidetrack. This is a public service announcement. No, this involves you, Horace. I hope you cooking dinner tonight because you got dinner guests, brother.
What part of land I'm in right now? I'm in Indiana.
That's not far from Oklahoma. Let's see.
It is, man.
You want me to check and see how far away it is?
Nah, it's okay. I got it.
He's good. He's good.
DJ Sweetness,
Hey.
what's for dinner? He said he will be there if you got something good on the plate. And I don't think he eat no okife, no pork for him. Don't pull out no pork chops. That will definitely chase him away.
Hey, but listen, man, I found that clip of Year of the Dragon. I want y'all to hear this. Can y'all hear this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Oh, come on, Herbert. You can get in there as a busboy or something. After that, plenty of time off for sleep, promotion.
No way, Captain.
Healthcare complaint, huh? His ancestors used to hang in baskets in the Sierras, poking dynamite sticks and cliff faces. All I'm asking you to do is be a fly on the wall. Your ancestors are probably rolling in their graves.
Goddamn bullshit, Captain. You're pushing too much. I'm no slave. Look, I gave up my security job. I gave up my chauffeur job. I send less money home. I'm tired all the time. I don't eat right. Getting sick. I die. I'm fucked. My family's fucked. For what?
What do you mean, for what?
You don't care nothing for people. You make us all die for you. And let me tell you something, Captain. When your ancestors were living in caves and scrabbling for coal in Poland, the Chinese were sailing the ships across the Pacific.
Hey, what do you know about my ancestors?
What do you know about mine? We were traders, shipbuilders, explorers. We taught you agriculture. We gave you the orange, the brick, your irrigation system. We dug your gold and silver, Stanley. We taught you how to fish the Pacific.
Hello.
And still, we were born from American citizenship until 1943.
I'm
so hard to build your
I'm on a
railroads.
Zoom.
And when the opium didn't come on time, we were so desperate.
Say again?
We had to kill ourselves.
Who was that talking? Well, but y'all, did y'all hear that, man?
Yeah.
You know, he told the man, when my ancestors, man, were selling the seeds, your ancestors, man, was rolling around in the caves, scrambling from Poland, whatever that is.
Hey, how you doing, Minister Boland?
Peace, brother.
What's up, fellas? Peace.
Peace. Not much. How your day been?
Doing pretty good, man. It's first day off for me for the next 2 weeks, so very rejuvenating. I needed it, so feeling good. Hope you all are doing well.
We're doing pretty well. Yeah, tonight's conversation, we talk about this Black Creek Stone. Could you illuminate on anything? You know anything about this Black Creek Stone?
No, I don't have much information on the Black Creek Stone. I wish I got in here earlier to see what y'all had going on, to learn from what's going on.
So we talking about, I was making the assertion that been several artifacts that quote unquote scholars at different periods of time have assumed that it's been people from Israel or Hebraic people that possibly traveled here. Our last discussion, we talked about the Moors being here prior to Columbus. So this is not a far-fetched ideology, because the Moors is tied with the Hebrews as well back over there, right?
Yes, for sure. For sure. I mean, it's our belief. And from a lot of the things that we have studied and have followed, at least in our history books, it's our belief that a lot of religion, a lot of the astrology that was being talked about, calendar systems, came from our side first and was traded over to the West.
Right. And even with that being said, it's some facts that a lot of the tribes here were sent back to Africa, especially among the Mandinka, as slaves. You get what I mean? You got some Native American tribes like the Nantizapco, something like that. Nantizapco, like kind of akin to the Nanticoke tribe that's up from the east. I think their whole tribe was sent away. Some to Africa, some down to South America. So that's similar to how the Bass family up in Virginia was sent down to Florida. A lot of them was sent down to South America. So
Liberia.
Yeah. So with this being said, back to this Back Creek tribe, this Back Creek Stone thing, amongst the tribes has been a flow of people throughout history, put it that way. And it's our job here to unravel the yarn, like Planet Wells was saying earlier about our history, and be, we analyze it, and put it in its place. We
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the concepts, I mean, I call it a concept, is that the new world, right? Now, my understanding is that idea surfaced from a European sensibility. I'm not limiting that to color, because we know that Europe was quite mixed. But nevertheless, the idea that this is a new world seems to be solely relegated to European thought of that era, right?
Agreed.
But in history books, they still teach that as though, from my perspective, that they're the only humans. All right? Because, in other words, follow the leader. But the reality is no. Okay? The planet was formed at one time. So there ain't no new world. There's just the world that they just recently discovered. And that's why they call it new. Because they have a psychological thing where they feel that they are superior. So since it's new to them, it's new to everybody. Right? But the reality,
yeah, but it wasn't even new to them. They we've been going backwards and forwards over the entire globe for eons. The concept of a new world is to throw the people off as if
correct.
It was a primitive civilization over here that didn't have any type of anything other than some teepees and
correct,
some bamboo skirts,
correct,
et cetera, et cetera. So they were in Europe with castles and lavish robes and crowns, but we was over here just barefooted, butt naked
in the dirt, right?
In the dirt, yeah. So that's what that's all about. Yeah,
absolutely.
It was castles here. I think they,
absolutely.
The only European that would mention is the Spanish, and I'm trying to find something where the Spanish talk about the castles here. And
with the castle in Chicago, they turned a few of them into prisons, like Joliet Prison.
Yep. You got castles here. You got the aqueduct systems. You got boulevards. Come on, boulevards is big avenues, right? Two-way avenues, right? That's what a boulevard is.
Correct.
So this is what they was writing when they seen aqueducts. They seen like hanging gardens, like vegetation hanging with water flowing. You know what I mean? So we weren't primitive as they want us to think. That's a way to disconnect us from the land, saying that they brought us into the ways of the man when we brought them into the ways of the man.
Right. Because the vibe is, other than them, everybody is primitive. That's the head, right?
And
then they take that primitive technology, right, and they modernize it, and they mass produce it, so everybody assumes that it's from them, right? And that's the illusion, right? So the attempt is to cut through the illusion to get to the truth. And that's what we do. That's what we do here. So we bring like-minded minds that want to explore to dig deeper into the truth.
Minister Balone, come on in, tell your story, brother.
Yeah, family. I am from East Baltimore, and I am a part of a indigenous government here in America. The Shi Amaru tribe in the Aboriginal Republic of North America, where we focus on releasing the issue of genocide and pretty much the issue of denationalization on our people. All our services focuses on trying to making sure that economically, mentally, physically, spiritually, we are bringing our people back to more indigenous and aboriginal roots. And you can find us anywhere across this country.
Very good.
Yes, sir.
That's a powerful statement in the comments right there.
What it say? If you notice, they called natural primitive.
Artificial advanced or normal, yeah. That's right.
They don't sync with nature.
That's right.
All right.
Yep. And that's our job, right? To make sure that we bring people back to the covenant to nature and remind people that we have a responsibility to nature as well. But we gotta, just like we've been saying about identity, we gotta make sure people see themselves in it, right? That's a part of the spirituality part of it, and why it's just as important. Even to what we talk about meditation, like you have to be able to see. That's what Ramadan is about. Ramadan means perfect sight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about when and what you see at that time. And you can only see when you what? When you're focused. That's why we got to pray or we close our eyes, because we're trying to go into the internal darkness. Again, these are all reminders of things that we've already known, but that's why stories are important.
Absolutely.
People are important. We got to get back to that.
Yeah. I wanted to say,
Absolutely.
man, you could see the evolution. You can see the evolution. I'm thinking, man, the evolution of the pyramid sort of tells the trails of the indigenous people, how we traveled the lands, because from Canada on down to Mexico, well to the borders of what is considered America, until you get into Mexico, most of the pyramids are mound pyramids. They don't start getting into the brick formation or the triangular form like the Sun Pyramid and the Moon Pyramid in Mexico until they get down that way. So then when they start going down further in what we consider south, but I consider it north, we see that in Peru and other parts of the Yucatan, et cetera, where the pyramids are becoming more brick advanced. So now when we cross over into Africa, you know, we got the flat pyramids that's right in South Africa, right in Johannesburg, right amongst the people. They look like platforms, you know. So then when we rotate and we start going up north into, you know, different places like Timbuktu, as well as other places, the pyramids start forming a little different until we get to Egypt. Now they're perfected over the millions or billions of years from us, you know, advancing technologically. You know, so this has to be the place where it all started at, because we got the most pyramids that look like this right here, but there are very little of those anywhere else. But like I said, that once you get to South America, they start getting in a formation where they're a little bit more advanced. And I put our pyramids and say the difference between our pyramids and the one in Egypt are the difference between a 1925 Cadillac and a 2025 Cadillac. So we got the 1925 Cadillacs over here. They got the 2025 Cadillacs over there.
And we got the biggest. We got the big, and then the biggest mountain ranges. I think that's very important to understand that the biggest. If you find the tallest and the oldest trees are found in America, and check these things when we get off here, so y'all can make sure that we stay studied and we being accountable. But the cedars and redwoods, like he's talking about, if you look these things up, the oldest are in America. The oldest mountain ranges, some of the tallest, like Stone Mountain in Georgia, like. That would tell you what's being formed and how it's being formed and how the world is being formed. We keep finding the oldest stuff is right here in America. So what does that tell you? The sun may not be rising all the time in the West. You see what I'm saying? Or setting in the West. It may for sure be coming up in the East at times, but the West is not to be forgotten about.
Okay.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
made
that's
this for us,
funny.
Donnie. Yeah, I'll pull it up in a minute, but y'all got to see this.
We've been joined by Yogi Uzama. Yogi, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Peace, peace, family. Thank you for allowing me into this space, man. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Where you from, Yogi?
Yes, sir. I'm from San Antonio, Texas. Then my last name is Uzamachi.
Uzamachi.
Yes, sir.
What's it mean?
Yes, sir. So Uzama means a beautiful way or a good path. In the Benin Kingdom, Uzama also means the chief lieutenant, the high chief who crowns the next king. And then the she is the mound builders. And so I formed this name to basically represent a beautiful way to a mound.
What you know about the mounds, man? School us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we do recognize the she as the mound builders. And so when you travel across this land, it's certain places where you may see land fields and things of that nature, but those are originally our mounds that we built. And a lot of them was used for many different things. Just to us, let folks know who I am. I am the chief minister of cosmology in my tribe. And so a lot of these mounds were used for cosmological places, also used for war tactics too as well. If you go to one thing my brother Kojo Shabazz taught me is one of the places in Dallas, Texas, they actually used it to trap many of the enemies too as well. But many of these mounds that there's this nature, they possess how it's built and structured. They possess crystals as well. And so these crystals are used to speak to light, literally, to speak to the universe and to stabilize certain, I'll use the word energies in this case, to stabilize certain energies in the environment. You know what I mean? This is why we're able to get new plant lives, new animal lives, and new organisms and things of this nature. So the mound builders, aka the she, are very important to just our history. A forgotten tribe that we're now bringing light to.
How did you come to become interested in this, Yogi?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, man, honestly, when I was a little tadpole, I grew up. Now, I was born in San Antonio, Texas, but I was raised in Atlanta, Georgia. And when I was a little tadpole, man, I always had a fascination with the sky, with the universe. Now, I didn't grow up religion. I didn't grow up studying astrology. So, just to be honest, honor the Aboriginal Republic of North America is my first conditioning of understanding the universe and history too. You know what I mean? One thing I always ask people, I say, man, we was in high school or even middle school, how many people actually passed history class? Because I did it. I passed with a 70. But, the reason I asked that is because, my fascination for it, I had to really think about it like, man, how did I come to this? Because I didn't grow up just reading books and things in nation. But the first book I read, that I intentionally read, let me say that I put attention to read was actually The Lost Aboriginal History. And so, my fascination with the mound builders, the universe, it started practically young for me. I used to make little monologues about the moon. And, I did have little moments like, man, if the moon controls the waters and our body is lymphatic system and we're made up of this percentage of water, then the moon must have. So it started very young for me. You know what I mean? My friend, shout out to my brother, Jaquan AC, he was actually the first person to put me on my blazing path of consciousness. We found the video, and you know what I mean? Of course, it was a random video, but it was called The Big Head Scientist. And that was my first actual journey into learning anything about consciousness, any sort of history. And then, that path led me to the Aboriginal Republic of North America, where I got to meet my big brother, Amaru Namataka Shiali.
If I can ask, how old are you now, yo? You look like you're about 35, maybe 25.
Yes, sir. He put it. So I am 28 right now, and when I
Okay.
joined honor, I was 21.
Well, you got the wisdom of someone much your age. I know Planet get ready to chime in because you like his grandson he never met. Tell him, Planet.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. You on point.
Yes, sir.
You
Thank
on
you so
point.
much.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Keep going deeper and deeper into it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
What
Thank
prompted
so
you to
much.
come on the show?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My brother Balone, man, he was talking about the show, man. He just he had so much praise for the show and just, you know what I mean, and he wanted us to come upon here to, you know, be able to speak and just, you know, break bread with our family, you know, with our brothers, you know, we family. You know,
Absolutely.
one thing I say, you know, we're carbon beings, and I tell people, look, when I speak to my brothers, I'm speaking to the universe. You know what I mean?
There
So
you go.
he had a high praise, and man, I was like, and I gave him my word. I said, man, I'm gonna come on there. And he put the link, and I joined. You know what I mean?
Excellent.
Well, you got my vote. I'm gonna leave you to the elders.
All good. All good.
Yes, sir.
If you don't mind, brother, talk a little bit about some of the services that you provide for either the people, not either, but both of some of our people within the tribe and some of our copper-colored people who are just looking to transition.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So some of the services I provide, I am a biocosmologist. And what that means is I study planetary motions in relations to organisms and their behavior and their health. And so I am a certified indigenous doctor too, as well. And so many of the service I provide is birth chart readings, because the number one thing is, you know what I mean, you know, most of my services is a lot dedicated to the children. So one of the services I do is a birth chart reading. And the reason I do a birth chart reading is because, you know what I mean, we say knowledge of self, and I wanted to amplify that by providing birth chart readings to children and just, you know, adults too, who may not know what business they want to be in, what career, what purpose they want to create for themselves. And the reason I use create is because, you know, the light didn't find the universe, it created the universe. And so we got to create our purpose. It's not something you find, it's something you create for yourself. You know what I mean? And that's something I wanted to teach. So as people are
Very
making
true.
and so as people are making a transition, you know what I mean, from, you know, wherever they at into like our tribe or any indigenous tribe, you know what I mean, tribal government, things of that nature, is I wanted to provide just that aspect of it so they can get into their purpose and, you know what I mean, really get going and, you know what I mean, just have that rhythm, you know what I mean, have a proper flow of rhythm, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times, you know, we go into colleges and even, you know what I mean, even if it's indigenous schooling or anything of that nature, a lot of people come into these spaces and they don't really know what they want to do. You know what I mean? People come into our tribe, they don't know if they want to be a doctor, a jurist, or a cosmologist. And so it's my job, and I'm proud to be a servant to provide like, hey, you should do this, you know what I mean? Your planet and the way you speak and how you move and your attributes is in this lane for doctor or cosmologist or marine biology or anything of the sort, you know what I mean? And so that's just some of the services I provide.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So what you were saying about, you know, you say you provide the birth chart. So is it, first thing I was thinking, is it certain things that's at certain times of the year that you were born in that you're supposed to do and eat? Is that what you're trying to get across?
Yeah, so you brought up a deep one. So man, when it comes to a birth chart reading, it is it's an aspect we use where I'll use my own mind being an example. So for me, like if I did my birth chart, my Mars, the planet Mars is in my 6th polarity. Now I want to explain something. We do in our tribe, we do not go into zodiacs. We use what we call the polarity system.
Okay.
It's 12 polarities that corresponds to the tilt in the earth. And so For instance, you mentioned eat when you're supposed to eat. My Mars is in 6th polarity, and it has, I'll use a mundane word, red lines, which would indicate a potential possible injury or element or anything of that nature. 6th polarity represents the digestive system. Now, before I joined honor and things of that nature, I used to, of course, eat certain foods, and I always used to have digestive problems.
Mm-hmm.
As I transitioned to honor and our food science, even though I hopped on the food science, I would eat like bison, but I would pair it with something like a starch, like a red potato. And so I still would have these heavy digestive problems. Now, compared to somebody else's birth chart, now, universally, pairing any bison with any starch is going to be hard to digest. But somebody who doesn't have that same position as far as the planet, they won't have the same exact element as me. This is why you can see people take, for instance, a certain bad food or, a certain substance that may be bad for you, but each person is going to have a different element, a different injury.
Right.
Because that's how unique we are as people. Not even the disease is going to be same. We can eat the same exact thing, but it's going to give out something different each time, good or bad. Okay.
The elements of the polarity, is that what the word you use?
So I was not the so the polarities do got represent elements too, as far as fire, air, or the earth. But I was trying to say I got that southern, country. I was elements, AL.
Yeah. And in relationship to those polarities, do they relate to? Is there a correlation with the sidereal houses?
The sidereal houses. So in our
system, yeah.
Yes, sir. And so in our cosmology system, we merged both because that's we're in a divination conversation. So we merged both lunar manzil, tropical sidereal, as well as cartomancy too.
Okay.
And the reason we merged all of them, for instance, now I'm gonna use a zodiac term this time. That way, the audience can understand too.
I got you.
So, say for instance, you got 2 kids, birth 2 kids, both of them are Pisces. In somebody's mind, all Pisces are the same. But this is actually not true. Because you also got to deal with deacons too.
Right.
Each polarity is 30 degrees apart. But within that polarity is also 10 degrees within that polarity. 3 separation of 10 degrees. And so now we can know, okay, just because I got a son and daughter or 2 sons who are both Pisces, now I got to go into the deacon because the degree of the son's position is in a different degree. But then we did something. We also merged cartomancy. So now I could tell you, hey, your son is a 7 Adamus and the other one is a 9 Adamus. I want to use the ancestral. 7 Adamus is Wak Ka'ab and 8 Adamus is Washak Ka'ab. So now I can identify them and their skills and their talents to another level versus boxing them as if they're going to have the same personality just because they both share the same polarity.
Right.
When you were just talking, when you said the 12, what'd you say, 12 houses or 12 polarities?
Yes, sir, 12 polarities.
When you said the 30 degrees separation. So I see the circle.
Yes, sir.
I can see the circle, but then I can also see the quadratic formula as well of what you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
So we talking about that 30 degrees? And we talking about, is it some way, is it triangles in there somewhere? You know what I mean?
I think I know what you mean. So I would say it's triangles in the sense of, let's deal with 2 planets now. So you can have, let's say you have a sun in this degree and it may be 90 or 180 degrees away from another planet, right? this is going to indicate now that it is a possible T-square, or a square rather.
All right.
And we know squares have 90-degree right angles, and they, form triangles. So
Right.
now I know, like, oh, these planets, these circumstances, and the description of it is going to have tension that needs balancing and discipline. Now, as far as the other triangles that you may be alluding to as well, is more so dealing with the degree and the how far the planets are away from each other. In that sense of where the triangles will be placed, because you can see a uniqueness in charts, in birth charts. And I use also, people can download it. It's called Stellarium, where you can actually chart the planets yourself. And sometimes I do that to make sure it's on the exact degree it's supposed to be on. I actually created a math formula for it so people can calculate the degree, because we don't know what can happen with the internet one day. One day the internet may just crash out. Now we left with telescopes. But I was able to create a formula so people can get the exact degree. But as far as triangles, you have unique, and you see it. So you see many lines going through this chart to different polarities and spaces, and they all form a different triangle.
Yeah,
And now if I bring it into a science, now we're dealing with waves.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So now
sound and waves. I get you.
The waves. So now it's a disruption. If it's 180 degrees apart, that means it's having a hard time delivering what it's supposed to deliver. That's why discipline is important.
So is this a grand design, right?
It's a grand design.
It's a so basically you deciphering an intelligence that's there within the universe, within this. And when you got into the wavelengths, and I started saying the sounds, I get into, the first thing I start thinking is "Let it be" what God spoke. You get what I mean?
Oh, yes,
so
sir.
That's what we seeing here, right?
Yes, sir. Exactly. Oh man, I like that statement. That God speak what was spoke, and so what you seeing is a grand design of a person's book of them. Meaning, look, for most people's lives, we got moments in time where we on rhythm. We got moments of times that we are off rhythm. But if we read our book of you no longer have to guess. But we are designers too. See, we was designed and we are designers. And so now
I gotta challenge you on that.
Oh, challenge you.
I gotta push back. Yogi. I gotta push back.
Somebody gotta push back. Go ahead, brother. Yes, sir.
You say that we choose our mission, our purpose, our path, what it is we want to do. You say we choose that.
Oh, okay. He puts no, not we choose that. So I get where you're going with it. So
I just have operated under the mindset that I first have to get in tune with my natural gifts that the good Lord gave me. And the more I tap into God, the more my gifts will come out, and it will be obvious what it is that God called me to do.
Yes, sir. So now I'm going to take this brother's statement. He said, let God speak what he spoke. And so this chart right here that he has pulled up, this is what God spoke. And so one, I'm telling you, I'm agreeing with you, because the designer designed the pattern of your story already. But our free will allows us to mix up too. Most people don't stick to their story. Most people, I don't want to say most people, it's moments in time where people
we deviate. We
deviate.
We go to the left, whatever. We sin. We leave God, leave the forsaken of this, and however you want to put it, we go left.
Yep. And so what I'm telling you,
we didn't leave God. God didn't leave us. We left God. I'm sorry.
Ooh, no, that's perfect statement. So now, when I explain to people what a birth chart is, man, you lost your loyalty to your own story. Your own story was already designed. Look, let me tell you something. I tell people this all the time. I say, man, look, life has a plan, and death also has its plan.
Who?
And life has a plan, and death also has its plan.
Yes.
God
Death?
attentions.
Death.
No, death has a plan.
Who?
Life
Death.
has
Death.
DEATH. So, and what I mean by that, so now what I can say is, okay, for instance, I said life has a plan for us.
Mm-hmm.
This is a statement that people often make. They say, man, when something chaotic happens, when a problem occurs, or something, a drama happens, they say, oh, it must have been part of God's plan, right?
Mm.
That's actually a lie. God plan ain't to make you. God's plan was to lead the faithful to a proper heaven, to have a rhythm where you can grow and progress, not to throw chaos, not to put chaos in your way. The chaos that you experienced was because of your own choice, because you then stay true to the story that God spoke of.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to just say something in terms of the people who may not really know where this is from. So, what we know as beings is that we're here. Okay, so this is 2025, and I think we can all agree that we're here. So now, let's go back in time and say that we have something in common with other beings that look like us. So if we go back in time when there was no internet, when there was no Netflix, when there was no television, when there was no auditoriums, big stages, none of that. There was no streetlights. Okay? So the nighttime entertainment was looking up at the stars. Right? So what he is explaining is the relationship that was seen through relating to the stars, right? As a mirror of your experience on Earth. Okay, so that you have to go all the way back when there was nothing. The only thing I don't know. A lot of people are just in cities, so they don't know. I'm kind of I'm in Hawaii. I've been in the desert and been to eat all that, so I can relate to the stars. Some people, I remember the first time I went to Santa Fe, New Mexico from New York, I couldn't sleep at night. I went to get some orange juice or something from the refrigerator, and I looked and I saw the stars really for the first time, really saw them, you know what I mean? And it's a map. And what he's doing is he's saying that each individual, because of the time and the space that they were born, have a relationship to that map. And he's trying to guide one to understanding that language. So that, I just wanted to say that.
Okay, here's the other pushback, Yogi. You talked about the charts. I got to go back to these charts. Now you say this, and it's been inferred in the comments how this affects. I think Big Ma Baby said it. This chart is relevant to our entire everything we do. So go ahead and touch on relationships, man. That's what everybody want to know. That's the question they want to ask.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, man, definitely when it comes to relationships as well, and I want to start from the children.
That's what I'm gonna sit back.
I'm gonna start from the children, man. And because when you birth a child, when they take I want to explain to people how this birth chart is it even possible, how it's generated. When a child is first born, it takes his first birth. This first birth is a electrical charge. Each planet has its own magnetic field, and it works in correlations with our personal magnetic field and our Earth's magnetic field, right? So when a child is first born, it is left with a signature on that child. So as far as relationships, this chart can generate exactly who this child should and should not be around. Now, going back to I mentioned to the brother about triangles, and I explained what a square could represent, which is a hardship, a tension. So now I'm gonna use a zodiac so the audience can follow. If a child has a T-square is dealing with 3 planets. That's when, one apex planet is 90 to 180 degrees apart from the other 2 planets. And those other 2 planets are opposing each other. As far as relationships, I would not, if the T-square was between a Libra, I'm just making up the zodiac, a Libra, a Virgo, and a Gemini, and the apex is on the Libra, like, you know what? I need to be careful when my child interacts with Libra people. Now, if it's a son, it's like, oh, okay, maybe he don't really need to marry a Libra woman. Now, we only deal with the laws of possibilities, though. So I'm not saying that, fate is going to happen, because T-squares are about discipline, though. So if that Libra woman is disciplined on code, then of course you can make it work. It just may be at times an uphill battle, though. So I'm saying read your chart, because we don't want to put them through uphill battles. We put necessary pressure on our children. We shouldn't put unnecessary pressure on our children, though. So when it comes to relationships and the cards, they do show who you should be working with, the type of women for the men they can be engaging with, the type of men the women can be engaging with from a chart itself. But the important thing is to also study your spouse's chart too as well, because you want to know their attributes, strengths, and weaknesses, because now you're dealing with the family and you are a puzzle piece that's about to fit into a vision. And you need to make sure that y'all can fit that puzzle piece into it properly, because you don't want the incorrect puzzle piece, and now you can't finish the puzzle. So
the other thing that he said is he used the word discipline. Now, a lot of us, right, have this program that discipline, right, or you got to go to the disciplinarian, or they paint it as a negative thing, right? You sit in the corner with the dunce hat on, or whatever, or you get a beating, or whatever is related to discipline. The once again, what I always say, you always gotta reverse it. You always got it. Just seems that's the way it is, right? That discipline is actually your best friend. That is really your best friend, right? So what you find in your life is so many things happen, and you might say to yourself, like, oh, why did I say that? Or why did I go there? Or what? Yeah, right? When you're quiet and you kind of reflect on it, you say, well, why did? Yeah, because you didn't have the discipline to just put a pause and look at your energy and say, is this for me or is this against me? Because you have embedded in you a compass that can steer you. But you have to be able to pause, because if you just react, you could be anywhere. You can be in any kind of situation.
Okay, it wouldn't be me if I didn't make this a little more provocative. You pussyfooted around all of that zodiac thing. Let's get on with it, man. Aries.
It's Aries.
It's called the 1-year-old. It's called the 1-year-old all the way around at number 12. The Pisces called the 12-year-old. And there's 2 tribes. So we're gonna kick you something tonight. Every other sign is the same tribe. Is that your understanding?
So when it comes to now, I'm using the zodiac terms. Just so
I was going to
audience,
say, give the zodiac term name, but also give our ancestor as well of how we understand it.
Right. So I was giving the zodiac name so the audience can follow along, but our polarity says so. Aries is a misnomer. It's actually first polarity. Now I'm going to the science of it. I could prove what's the day? December the 16th, right? I could prove the sun is not in Sagittarius right now, but it is in 9th polarity. And what I mean is, so we venerate in the zodiacs, but the sun is actually not in those spots that it claims to be. This is why I created the math formula.
Okay. Let me give you this way. People born around that time of year have generally speaking, and we're not slighting anybody because every sign has its strengths, every sign has its weaknesses, every sign has its evolved people, and every sign has its unevolved people. So we ain't cracking on nobody. And I've seen people from all kinds of combinations make it where ordinarily the rules might suggest they ought not be together, like a Cancer and an Aries, for example. I've seen that work out really beautifully. We've seen 2 people of the same signs really work out beautifully. But there are also certain people, male or female, they just rub you the wrong damn way. And or hey, I missed the personality. I rubbed them the wrong way. But one thing I can tell you, we're gonna make this radio show pop. So I'm gonna back off and let you have the floor.
Now you speaking straight fast right now. Man, it's people who gonna rub you the wrong way. But look, even before we get, because we did on relationships, so we did on relationships. Man, even before you get to that, man, the first principles you need is loyalty, honesty, transparency, and communication. Man, if the body and the cells in the body don't have communication, then your body is not going to be healthy. So how can your relationship be healthy if you're not transparent and having proper communications and structure? And if you don't even know your created purpose for yourself, you don't even know your purpose. The cells in the body know their purpose. A liver cell would never try to be a heart cell. A heart cell would never try to be a skin cell. They know their purpose. So before you even get into the relationship, you need to know what your purpose is. Because if you don't know what your purpose is, what you're going to do is you're going to attach to somebody, and that's when the jealousy comes in. Because your spouse knows their purpose, and they just look like they're in rhythm. Oh, they know exactly what they want to do. Now the greed starts to happen, the jealousy. Now you try to attach yourself to their purpose, and then it creates a problem. Now, if the couple comes in, both sides know their purpose. Yeah, this is why I also said, man, it's only the laws of possibilities. I can never say it's going to be fated that they're going to have problems and it's not going to work at all. Now, if they got T-squares and it's opposite signs, like you mentioned, this Cancer may rub off wrong on the Aries. Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle. But this is why we also need to read the charts. Because if you're not reading the charts, then you won't know what you're signing up for. I tell people all the time, man, I knew this person had T-squares with me. I just signed up for it anyway because I wanted to learn something. And we both had that understanding because I was transparent about it. I told her, hey, we coming together in a partnership, business partnership, a relationship, a sponsorship, whatever it may be. We come together because we about to experiment because we want to see, all right, how can this work? What places can we fit into this? Because what I'm learning is, all right, I understand people going to do what they want to do. So I want to be able to guide them properly. All right, look, you signing up for this. I'm telling you what it is. It's going to be an uphill battle. I'm going to provide to you the tools that you need to use so you can at least make it more rhythmic. Stay in rhythm. If they don't follow it, then that's up to them. I mean, if they're not going, and I got to acknowledge their book of them. You know what I mean? One thing I learned, man, if you don't acknowledge yourself, then, you know what I mean, how can anybody else acknowledge you?
So drop your sign in the chat. Drop your sign in the chat. I wanted to share this little something that I came across. Nelson Mandela actually shared this in his inauguration speech. It was a poem by Marianne Williamson. Y'all may remember her. She was the white lady poet who ran for president. It says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be gorgeous, brilliant, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. You were born to make manifest the glory of God. That's not just in some of us, but in all of us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. So, you know, as we're winding down, these are the last half of the last month of the year. You bring such a refreshing conversation. Minister Balone, thank you for taking time during your vacation to pour into this show. We've listened, we've learned, we've touched a lot of things, but everybody has a role, everybody has a purpose, and I can't wait for us to get more. Hannibal, you got to get your chime in. Then Balone, then we're gonna go to Planet with the vibrations, and then we're gonna have to step in and all step up for Horace.
Yeah, when I was listening to Brother Yogi, you had me up here, you got me going, you know, because I'm thinking about quantum physics, I'm thinking about the possibilities, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about different worlds at the same time. You get what I mean? Because like you say, the possibilities. And when you say the positive, if I do this and I don't do that, what I don't do is the quantum physics part. You get what I mean? That still exists because you had the possibilities there. You get what I mean? So this is a deep conversation, and I'm glad we had this conversation. It's refreshing. It's thought-provoking. You get what I mean? I've been reading the comments of people. You know, a lot of people's interested in this aspect of it here. And, you know, and I'm still thinking, you know, I'm really, you know, you really got me thinking here, brother. I'm glad to meet you. Thank you.
Yes,
Good. I need to run soon, so I want to do the meditation a little bit earlier. But I want to say this.
Yes, he's on the road, Sweetness.
Because, you know, in terms of what Brother Yogi is saying, that it's a kind of snapshot of your history cosmically, you know, and that shows the road of your life, right? But that road or that history, right, its final destination is to the mystery. So you can utilize this science that the brother is representing, I feel quite accurately, right, to guide you to that mystery, right, and that you will be at home in that mystery, because ultimately that mystery is you. Yeah. Okay. So if we could indulge me with a brief meditation. You know, we use these words, but it's stillness. you know, we run so much. You know, so we like to just use a bell. You know, this particular one is its origin is Tibetan, or the roof of the world, the Himalayas, the high mountains. Yeah, and it's a mixture of different metals. to create a vibration. Yeah. Now, I don't know if their original intent was this. It may have been just a bowl to eat out of, but somebody, maybe a little child, hit it and they realize, oh, wow, there's something, you know, and then they incorporated it. Okay. So what we do is we take a deep breath and we hold it for 5 or so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We do it again. And we just follow the sound deep in ourselves. And it can reflect the cosmos. It can reflect your deepest being in peace. Because Lord knows we need peace out here. Okay? And if you want to send that frequency to anyone you love or care about, do it within that silence. Huh? Because it'll go fast. Fast. Okay. I want to do this last one, and I want to do it. My spirit tells me to send this to Mafia Shakur, okay, as well as, you know, whatever you do, but I want to keep them in our heart, okay. Peace and blessings. Thank you so much.
Ashe.
And,
Brother Horace is not here, so we're going to do our best to step in his stead. So I'll lead the way. Ashe to our ancestors. I'll start with thank you, God, first and foremost. But Lily Glover, Doc Glover, please shout out your parents, your ancestors, your grandparents. Please, Ashe.
I'd like to shout out James Edison, Patricia Ewing.
Ashe.
Ronette Jarvis, Daniel Jarvis, Annette Hitton, Evelyn Hitton, Butter, who else I got out there? Uncle Bob, Uncle James, Uncle Larry, Lil John, Evan, all my other fallen ancestors that I may have missed.
Shout out to guys I grew up with who didn't make it very far in life. They left us many years ago. Daryl Motley, Eric Scott, also known as AD, Reginald Matthews, Little Reggie, Black George, Ashe.
Ashe.
Mafia Shakur.
Horse 3 to 4.
Ashe.
Jones family.
Ashe.
And our honored guests family.
Ashe.
Yogi. Minister Balone.
And Minister
Brother Yogi.
Ashe.
Ashe to all of the people in the chat and their families.
Yogi, you want to shout out something?
Yes, sir. Carolyn Jackson, my grandmother, my auntie Trina, all the children,
All our children, grandchildren, and generations yet unborn. And thank God that they will inherit knowledge that we wish we would have had sooner. But we got it, and we're grabbing it, and we're not going to let it go this time. Minister Balone, peace and love to you and your family. Hannibal, James, Planet Wells. This is just such a Yogi. You got to put your information out there, but Balone, Minister, you got to add him into our chat. We do this every Tuesday, Wednesday. Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and it's all about us learning and sharing with each other. Nobody has to have all of the answers. Hannibal go so deep, and you like, whoa. But then Planet to flip the script on you and have you outside looking up at the stars, brother. You'll think you the Dogon people.
Well, Yogi, you know we hooking up, so we ain't even gonna go there.
We
you know that exactly. And Minister Balone, you know how much you mean to me.
Yes, sir. And
and
I'm too pumped that we are now extending this family and continue to grow. It's more brothers and sisters out here that look like us beyond this screen. And I'm so grateful to be able to share this familyhood and brotherhood with you all. Thank you.
I appreciate you, Mr. Balone. Minister
So to our members in the chat, Big Ma Baby, Ashe, Nikki Nicole, Ashe, DJ Sweetness, Ashe, Regina Harris, Ashe, Awanasa, Ashe, Coach Carlene, Ashe, Kiba, Ashe.
All right, Kiba.
Lindell, thank you, Lindell Jefferson, Ashe, and everybody else. We'll be back Thursday evening, 8 p.m. And our prayers and we pray light over my Mafia. All right, you know he all right. He's just
he all right. He just
navigating.
He's working his stuff. Yeah,
from Baltimore.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Got to survive.
Okay.
Hey, look here. Shout out to Atlanta. I love Atlanta, man. I went to the only school in Atlanta.
I'm out, y'all. Hannibal, I'll holler at you.
All right, now.
Okay. All right,
Good
Donnie.
evening.
Blessings, Donnie.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good evening.